Section YY8 podcast is back. And we say this a lot, hopefully better than ever, but hopefully we are better than ever. Rested up and ready to go. I'm Negative Niece. That is Harbin. Welcome back in, Harb. We took a couple weeks off to recharge the batteries. I think we picked the wrong time to do that.
Yeah. We've got a lot to cover. Probably going to be a long-winded show, but I'm here for it. It's Thursday.
So,
Going in.
yeah. So when all the news came out last week about you know who we will mention later or very shortly, it was like, hey, are we getting an emergency podcast tonight? I was like, you know what? I'm tired. Like this is wearing me out. Like I'm tired, guys. We'll be back sooner or later, so just hang tight. But here we are, well rested and ready to go. The Masters is now behind us. WrestleMania is behind us. Harb and I watched the WrestleMania night two Sunday night over at Slagle's the other night. Very underwhelming, disappointing. The fallout of it has been a little disappointing listening to comments from The Rock and just how things were put together. But Saturday night was fantastic, especially the main event. I said the two best matches of the night, and I wasn't just saying this to him because he's a coworker of mine, and I consider him a friend. But Leonard Blair, Bianca Belair's dad, so I call him Leonard Belair, even though that's not his real last name. But I said the two best matches of the whole weekend was two triple threat matches. The main event Saturday night featuring Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns with a shocking betrayal. And then on Sunday night, the very first match of the night, triple threat, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, and Io Sky for the women's title. Just fantastic match. Both of those matches were. But the rest of the show was at best. So
I thought all the matches outside of the main event on night two were good matches. Well, and the Randy Orton thing, but it was entertaining. At least we'll call it that. The Fatal Four Way for the Intercontinental Championship, solid match. And Dominic Mysterio getting the Intercontinental Championship,
I forgot about that one. You're right.
really, really awesome. Um, and he was, and probably my favorite part of the night was him walking up the ramp and just going rogue and saying, "No, I'm gonna get 5 more minutes." And he went back in the ring and celebrated.
Went back.
Yeah, so that was cool. But I thought it was decent. The Rock pisses me off.
You know
Like,
what?
like,
What?
like you can't convince me that they did all that just because ticket sales at Elimination Chamber in Toronto were low. You can't. I mean, that might be what Triple H is rolling with because he's trying to save face for him and The Rock. Like,
Yeah.
Rock's changed his mind. But it's ridiculous. I mean, it was a huge storyline. It had potential to be one of the best storylines of the last 25 years. And here we are. Cena sold his soul to a character that's not even in the story anymore. And we're talking about John Cena. We're not talking about Joe Blow. We're talking about the guy that just won the most world championships of all time. I don't know.
I did not. I still don't understand it. Didn't like it, but we'll see what they do with it. I mean, there's a lot more to go. I mean, there's Backlash coming up. There's SummerSlam this summer. So where do they go with this? Do they try to get back to it with the Raw? I don't know. The other disappointing thing for me was how they used. And look, deep down inside, I knew they weren't going to put him in the storyline with Cody Rhodes and Cena and The Rock. But how they used Stone Cold Saturday night, or sorry, Sunday night to come out and announce the attendance, and maybe he didn't want to do anything, but him not showing up last year uh, for the main event, and they plugged in the Undertaker, which was great, but it should have been Stone Cold Steve Austin staring down The Rock. Those were the two that made wrestling in the late 90s, in the Attitude Era. And then he came out, Stone Cold did Sunday night and announced the attendance. Now he was drunk as a skunk. He wrecked his four-wheeler twice. One time you didn't see it on TV. He missed the ramp entirely backstage and got it jammed up into the wall, and they had to pull it out. And then once he got down to the ring, he ran into the side barrier and couldn't even drive it out. He had to walk back the entirety of that huge ramp. But it was always good to see the rattlesnake. But I just wish it was for something else besides coming out and announcing the attendance. So, anyways, we don't want to talk too long about professional wrestling. That's for another place and another time. Before we get going, because Harbin said it's probably going to be a long-winded show. Yes.
Uh, he didn't announce how many fans were there. He announced how many solid ass cats were there.
Yes.
So that was good.
I saw he's got a new T-shirt out, I think, with Macho and Poncho flipping birds.
Love that.
I might have to get that. But like Harbin said a minute ago, long-winded show because we've got a lot of things to talk about. And but I wanted to give a quick shout out really quickly to first off a listener who I don't know who this person is, but if you are listening, shout out to, and this is their Twitter X handle, Wrigley Field Vol. Sent us a message today asking when we were going to restart the podcast. I think he thought we were on our old one, which is still in limbo somewhere out there in Spotify world. So we created this new one that you're hopefully listening to if you're listening to the audio version. But shout out to Wrigley Field Vol for listening. They said the show's very entertaining, Harbin. So appreciate that. And also, I received an email the other day from a group called FeedSpot. And FeedSpot, I don't know how they came up with these rankings, Harb, but out of the top 70 Tennessee sports podcasts, and this was published on April 16th, 2025. I posted it on our socials. We were ranked number 7.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you who we're behind. Number 1 was Go Vols 24/7, hosted by Wes Rucker, Ben McKee, Ryan Callahan, Patrick Brown. That's your Knox News guys, I believe. Maybe. Number 2 is Fan Run Radio, which is here in Knoxville. Great listen. Those guys are good. More important issues was number 3, volquest.com, number 4, Middle Tennessee Sports Network, number 5, and the Hot Read was number 6. And they look like they focus on, obviously, NFL Tennessee Titans. Harb, the funny thing was we were ahead of several other prominent names, podcasts. Like right behind us is the Tiger Basketball Podcast, hosted by the Memphis Commercial Appeal, talking about Memphis State basketball. Well, no wonder that's behind us. One notable that you found, Sports Talk, with John Wilkerson and Vince Ferrara, is at 10. I'm trying to see. There was another one I wanted to.
Eric Ainge was 32.
Yeah, Eric Ainge was 32. There was another one I thought I had that I had noticed.
Josh Ford and Jason Swain were 29, which that one makes zero sense to me.
Yeah, Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker. I've watched him some on YouTube before. I don't necessarily agree with all he has to say, but his show's number 30. The Vol Network podcast is number 31. I've never heard of that one. I mean, I know who the Vol Network is, but I don't know. I've never seen any posts from that one, whatever it may be. Everything Orange is number 33. And that's the one that the University of Tennessee puts out with the sideline reporter interviewing different athletes, characters at the university. There's several, like Vol Club Confidential, number 37. I mean, we could go on, but it is an honor, and thank you to whoever voted for these, but to put us number 7.
Well,
I don't know who did, but I
I'm going to
appreciate
put you
it.
to the spin cycle here. Number 5 on this list MTSN. They cover high school sports in the Middle Tennessee area. And six is the Hot Read, which I'm assuming is the number one Titans podcast. So using my Steiner math, we're a top five Tennessee podcast out there.
There we
Tennessee,
go.
Tennessee Athletics University.
Yes. There we go. If you're just doing Tennessee athletics, Tennessee Volunteers, we're top five.
Yeah, and I'm not inflating stats or giving opinion. We were the fifth ranked University of Tennessee Athletics podcast on this list. So next time you tell your friends to check us out, let them know that we're a top five option when it comes to Knoxville and the University of Tennessee. It's their words, not mine.
This isn't misinformation.
No, no, no. I'm reporting facts.
I mean, we joke around about CNN. We are not CNN. They're probably reporting right now that the behind closed doors, the Pope is sharp and focused right now. But we don't do that here on this show. That this is all factual information. It's posted online for the world to see.
We are
And
not the mainstream media at all.
no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Maybe one day we can knock off the mainstream vol media that's in front of us.
I think it's only a matter of time. Buy low.
Buy low.
Buy low. I'm gonna say, guys.
Well, thank you all for listening. We'll get the advertisements out of the way here at the start. Subscribe, like, comment, share. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a little button down here below me somewhere on either on that side or that side. And click that like button, click that share button, and subscribe. And when you subscribe, as soon as we post episodes, it'll ding on your app or send you a message, however that does. If you're listening to us, thank you for listening. Try to help spread the word to everybody about where we're at now on the audio version, because like I mentioned a minute ago, we're locked out of our original Spotify account where all the other old episodes were. And I've created a new one because I have yet to hear back from Spotify on our appeal. The last message I got was about 3 or 4 weeks ago that said they got our appeal and they're looking into it. So for now, and I guess for the rest of eternity, we'll just stick with this one. But please help share the audio version so people can get directed back. There's a lot of people that don't know we've had to switch over and are probably wondering, like, have these guys quit? Have they left? Where are they? So hopefully slowly we'll get the word back out. But appreciate everybody that's been listening that helped us get to this number 7 ranking. We're almost 5 years into this thing. Started it back in September 2020. Gavin and I did. And like Harb and I talked about a couple of weeks ago, we enjoy coming on here to educate you, the fan, and entertain you, the fan. That's what we're here for. Education and entertainment, Harbin. Speaking of education, let's get right into it because we've been absent, 2 or 3 weeks, I guess? Probably 2. So we thought, hey, Masters is coming up, WrestleMania. Let's take off some time here and enjoy these 2 sporting events. Well, there is no off season for any Tennessee sport anymore. So here we are. A lot has happened with Tennessee football, with Tennessee basketball, and even the baseball team since we've been away. So, Harb, let's start with the main event because I know you'll have a lot to say about this one. Since we've recorded last, Nico Iamaleava, who was our 5-star quarterback, the centerpiece of the 2024 class, came in and waited his turn, sat behind quarterback Joe Milton, who was eventually drafted by the New England Patriots, has since been traded to somewhere.
The Dallas Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys. There you go. Seriously, I forgot. I wasn't doing that because you're a Cowboys fan, but we'll not get into that now. But waited his turn, started the Citrus Bowl, looked pretty good. And then last year had his moments. He, I gave him a lot of slack. I considered him a freshman, even though he had sat for a year. He was a freshman. He'd never played meaningful minutes on the field at the University of Tennessee. So all this last year was new. And I thought as a freshman quarterback, he did all right. I didn't think he was great by any means, but I didn't think he was bad like some made him out to be. Josh Walker, buddy of ours, not sure if he listens to the show or not. He says sometimes he does, but I don't think he does. But anyways, Josh said all year long he's just not lived up to the hype. Not living up to the hype. He's been a disappointment. Josh even went so far as to say the season last year was a disappointment. I was like, we won 10 games and went to the college football playoffs, but that last game left a sour taste in his mouth. And all that being said, I don't want to get into the team last year, but there's a portion of the fan base who was like me, thought he was good, did some good things, did some head scratching things, but chalk it up first year, he'll figure it out. He's a 5-star for a reason, right? Um, there was another portion of the fan base, like I said, that thought he was overrated, overhyped, never lived up to the hype. I can't do that after 1 year with a player. Now, if he would have went into next year with us, played like that again, yeah, we got a problem. We got some questions to answer here. One, is Nico overhyped? Is he not as good as we all think he is? Or two, is it Josh Heupel? Because since Hendon Hooker left, I mean, Joe Milton was all right, but he wasn't great. Nico was all right, but he wasn't great. So my mindset going into this upcoming season with Nico at the helm was he's either going to take a step and improve and be a better, more efficient, more explosive quarterback, or he's going to be the same as he was this year, where he struggled to read the field, where they didn't push the ball down the field very much at all, except against Kent State and Chattanooga and whoever. And then you start to question, like, man, is Heupel not the quarterback whisperer, the offensive genius we think he is? That's all out the window now. Nico decided to leave. He decided to hold the university, for all intents and purposes, hostage for increased pay. Reports were $4 million. I think Tennessee was having conversations with the kid and his family, and they were like, and this has Danny White. Me and my uncle talked about this Saturday. This has Danny White written all over it. He's like, you know what? I ain't dealing with this. It's time to put it out to the media and let's roast this kid and call their bluff. And that's pretty much what happened. It came out one day that he was asking for money. The next day, he doesn't show up for practice. They're holding a press conference. He's off the team. So he is now at UCLA, and we'll get into the transfer. But first, Harbin, your thoughts on this Nico Iamaleava drama that has happened.
Well, to be honest with you, the first day that it happened, I was like, this is a non issue. It's annoying, but we'll get through it and people forget about it in a couple weeks. Obviously, way off on that one. I think this is all his father's problem. Personal opinion. I know that's a controversial one. I'd say the opinion on that's probably 50-50, at least locally. Um, but there was reports of Nico reportedly threatening to sit out of the playoff game if he didn't get more money. And obviously, when this happened in the spring, it makes a little bit more sense. There's a few different ways that you can go about this. You can thrash a 20-year-old, or you can thrash his father, who's his literal agent, or you can have a combination of one of those and also thrash the state of NIL and collegiate athletics. This is what y'all wanted. So many people pressed hard for these kids to be able to make a living. And by living, I mean $4 million a year. Um, it's the Wild West. It's 1 year free agency with no salary cap. And it isn't college sports anymore. I don't even know what you call it. It's not even professional because in professional they have contracts. But it's wild. But I think most of this falls on Nico's father. So I'm a save thrashing Nico, which I mean I'm not pulling for the kid. Don't get me wrong. I don't want his life to get ruined either. But I think it's one of those things where he got put in an incredibly hard spot. And I know people are going to laugh at me saying that because we were paying him millions of dollars before he even stepped foot on campus. But here's the thing with Nico. If all of this is his father's fault, you can either allow the local and national media to just absolutely trash your name, tell them you're what's wrong with the current state of college athletics, say you're money hungry, this and that, or you can publicly denounce your father, who's had a large part in you getting everything that you currently have, and it's also your dad. And at 20 years old, that is that's a decision that you just physically can't make, especially if you're close with your father. I mean, if I was in his shoes at 20, could I publicly do that to my dad? I doubt it, even if I knew he was wrong.
I don't think I could.
I'm not bringing this into it, but also in Samoan culture, the father runs the family and nobody says a damn word about it. I think that's got a lot to do with it. Yeah. He is,
Yeah,
he's the
he's
chief.
head of the table.
He's at the table, exactly. I say that facetiously, but also in a serious context. Like that definitely has a little bit of a play in this. Um, yeah, I think it's going to come out 10 years from now. Or I think it's possible that it comes out later down the road. But that's what's happened. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna shit on the kid. I will definitely shit on his father because he's grown, and I think obviously it's his father, and I know T.J. Hushmanzada is also in his uh, posse, so to speak. There's a few others. I think he has gotten incredibly poor advice and management throughout this whole thing. Because I mean, I don't care if he's making $1 billion. Expecting a 20-year-old to make 45-year-old man choices is that's asking a little much. Because everybody that's listening that's over the age of 20 has been 20 before, and you know exactly what I mean. Uh, and the whole thing, it's just unfortunate. I feel like it's a pretty neutral way to put it. I am extremely proud of how the University of Tennessee handled it, and I think college athletics as a whole thanks us for it. You know, I made this joke at work the other day. When every single person in the national media is saying that Tennessee's right, you know that it's not even a damn question that they did the correct thing. Um, and it is a fall from grace, you know. Like he turned down 2.2, and they wanted over 4 million a year. I think I had a large part in what Carson Beck got from Miami, which my response to that is Carson Beck can do this with two rocks on his finger and probably tell you why he got that, as opposed to a guy that threw 19 touchdowns at Tennessee and his best highlights are in Cookie Monster PJ pants. And like I said, and I don't want to get it twisted. One of the biggest pet peeves I've had about this whole thing is the people that were the biggest Nico guys on the planet are now the ones screaming that he sucks. Like I'm not changing my stance on how good I think Nico is. I fell somewhere in the middle while he was here. And I still think that. I think he still has a ton of talent. I think he can be pretty good at UCLA. I think he can have a good pro career. None of those may be true, but time will tell. Um, but it is kind of funny because he turned down 2.2 in a state that has zero income tax, and somebody did the math with living in UCLA and with all the taxes in California. He gave up pretty much 80% of what he was making, all things considered. Which sure he's closer to home and all that good jazz, but the irony of the whole thing's funny to me. And now his brother was an Arkansas commit at quarterback, which is obviously the same position Nico plays. And he decommitted and committed to UCLA. So maybe they spent the other half on getting his brother there, so now the family has that much money. But none of this makes sense. Zero like zero part of any of this makes any sense whatsoever. I just I don't see it because if you're actually trying to get both of your children to succeed and get them to that same step, field wise, they're one grade apart. Why would you want them on the same roster? And yeah, he gets to play all of his home games in the Rose Bowl, but he also gets to play in front of 1,500 people because nobody gives a shit about UCLA football. So
Uh, it,
that's kind of what I'm thinking.
yeah, well, I mean, all valid points. I mean, I guess when it came out the other day, I was just thinking about the program in general because if you look at all of Tennessee athletics right now, a lot of positive momentum, a lot of great things. I don't even say good things, a lot of great things happening. I mean, look at Lady Vols basketball, Sweet 16, men's basketball, Elite Eight, track and fields playing well, golf, tennis, baseball, softball's number one in the country. I mean, a lot of great stuff going on at University of Tennessee. This is one of those things we've been able to avoid the past 3 or 4 years, besides the legal stuff that came about from NIL, which was about Nico. But I think that was the thing I was disappointed about is we finally, we've got this 5-star quarterback here. He's back in the fold for next year. Can we take that next step? And now I feel like we're not going to be able to. Maybe we do. Maybe Merklinger or McIntyre or Aguilar that we'll get to in a minute. Hell, they might come in and be world beaters. I don't know. But the analytics and my gut tell me they're probably not. And that's what's frustrating is like we've taken a step from where we were from the dark times and we've kind of gotten away from that. And Tennessee's a program now where we've talked about on here that 8 wins, 7 to 8 wins is probably the floor now. That would be a disappointing season. And I felt like we were stepping even away from that and making strides toward being that contender for the SEC title, contender to get in the playoffs and see how far we can advance. I'm not sure I don't want to say it's not possible, but we're kind of probably going to take a hit. But you can't let one person like that hold your program hostage. And I give kudos to Tennessee, whether it was Josh Heupel, Danny White, or whoever it was. You know, this kid, this is the second time he's done this in 4 months. And I'm glad somebody finally stood up and did something because we've talked about this at Carter High School baseball games with Coach Rimmer and some others. I mean, even at the high school level, we're worried about it. But I almost I am getting to the point with college sports. It's just not fun anymore, almost. I mean, some aspects of it are, but we've got these kids out here getting paid millions of dollars that haven't even stepped on a field. They're holding programs hostage. They can just leave and bounce whenever they want with no repercussions of having to give money back or anything. And there's just nothing. Like, no one has stepped forward and taken any type of a leadership role in this, whether it's the NCAA or conference commissioners, whoever it is. They're partly to blame for what happened with Nico in Tennessee over the past couple weeks. And it's going to continue to go down this road. I mean, there's a lawsuit in North Carolina going on right now about eligibility. If I've read this correctly, if that goes through, they might as well just wipe eligibility out and just play forever in college. That's not college sports. You go to college, you graduate, and you leave, and you go out into the professional world. That's not how it's supposed to be. This is not. We were talking last night about I like going to Weigels. I've become a huge fan of Weigels because of their NIL deals with Tennessee athletes. They do these really cool things, like if Hunter Ensley, they did it last year with Christian Moore and Carlin Pickens. But if Carlin Pickens strikes out seven in a game, you get a free 24-ounce Coke. If Hunter Ensley gets an extra base hit, you get a free 24-ounce Coke. You know what I do when I go in there? I buy a gallon of milk. Another thing is Zens. I might get a donut. What? I might get a fountain drink. What? Whatever it may be. That's what NIL was supposed to be. Not just, oh, come here and play and I'll pay you $4 million for nothing, for just playing. That's not what it was supposed to be. And I think I don't know why it's always us, but last week when all this happened with Nico, it was one of those pivotal moments in the new era of college sports. And we're right there in the freaking middle of it again, whether we wanted to be or not. And um, I hated it, but I was kind of okay with it when it happened, Harbin, I guess, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's like was it Ron Slay said, "Ain't nobody bigger than the power T."
Yes, I believe he was one that said that, but yes, he
Oh,
was
I mean,
one of the
all
more
of them
vocal
said
ones.
it. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you have to cut ties with somebody that thinks they can run the program. You know, and Heupel said that too.
Hmm.
And you could tell that he was upset about it. He really believed in that kid, and you got to do what's best for business. Hate to use an authority line on you, but I mean, you have to. And will we take a hit in the short term? Maybe, probably, but I think we're better off in the long run. You know, I mean, obviously, you need talent to win games, and Ohio State showed that winning the national championship. But also, you need culture. And to back that up, I want to say 20 out of Ohio State's 22 starting on offense and defense were 4 year guys at Ohio State. So, yeah, plug and play will get you there, but it's very rarely going to win you games. I know this isn't a plug and play situation, but the point is, I would rather have slightly less talented guys here that want to be here. And going back to what you said about 8, 9 wins being the floor and you may be redacting that, I'm not redacting that.
No, I'm not redacting that either. I'm just saying,
Jake Merklinger is a 4 star. George McIntyre, depending on where you looked, high four, low five. Like we have talent in that room. We have with hopefully the man Faison Brandon coming in
mhm.
next year. This is a speed bump. objectively. Does it hurt? Yeah, it kind of does. But it's not like we have you, me, and Bowling behind him. Like we've still got guys. And I damn sure can promise you we've got guys that complete 65% of their passes that are either screens to the outside or 3 yard ends. I can promise you that. Like, I just, I think people are upset about the potential that we
Yeah.
lost. I don't think people are upset about the production that we lost last year. Because if you're mad about that, by God, I can find a lot of people that can throw 5 touchdowns against Kent State and Chattanooga.
Yeah. That's what I was saying a minute ago. I mean, because it felt like when Nico comes back for this second year, most quarterbacks in their second year under center take a next step. And I was excited to see him potentially take that next step. And he may do that at UCLA. It's going to be a lot tougher now because he's got to learn a new system, all that stuff. But if he was here, the excitement was we won 10 games with a quarterback who was mid last year. Let's just be honest. There was times he was above mid, but for the overall season, he was mid. We relied on a really good offensive line, a really good running game, and a really elite defense. And he managed the game. But him coming back this year, could he take that next step, make the offense a little bit better than it was? I thought he could. I mean, I don't know if he was going to or not, but I was excited to see him do that and the team grow around him. That's what was frustrating to me when it was like, really? Like, we're right here on the cusp. It's like basketball. I'm like, we're right there. We're right there. And we're not that far off. We just need some more Jimmys and Joes and some things to go our way, and we can get to that next echelon. We got everything we need here. And then this SOB wants more money and leaves.
I have a, I have 2 questions for you.
Okay.
I want you to answer
I'll
them honestly and off the rip.
I'll allow it.
We went 10-2 in the regular season last year, right?
Yes. That is a fact.
How many of those 10 wins do we not win if Nico wasn't starting quarterback? One?
I don't know that we beat Alabama without him.
Right, that's the one.
Florida, we won mainly with defense and running game. I'm kind of backtracking here, trying to think through this. I'm not even counting like Kent State, all them lower level guys. We win those games without him.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
think
so
Alabama game probably.
yeah, he played well in the Alabama
I
game.
thought he played well against Vandy, but it's Vandy. I think we could have run the ball and beat them.
He played well in a good amount of those games. I'm not taking that away from him. That's not the point of the question. Now, the 2 games that we lost, the 3 games that we lost, how many of those 3 do we win if he's not the quarterback?
None.
You could argue the Arkansas game easily. We scored
Well,
14
yeah, I forgot about Arkansas. Yes, we
We did.
don't beat Georgia with or without him,
Or Ohio State.
or Ohio State.
Right. Yeah.
Arkansas, yeah, we should have beat Arkansas.
Point being, we were probably a 10-2 team without his ass anyway. It,
Looking back on it, yes.
and that's not me hating on him. That's just being honest. I mean, none of those SEC games did we win because he set the world on fire. The reason we were in the playoff was Dylan Sampson and the defense. And if you can't get that through your head before or after this decision, I got oceanfront property over in Wartburg for you. So it just is what it is. I mean, our defense and run game was that good. That's what got us there.
Mm-hmm.
And some other quarterbacks would have got us better or further than that. Some would be slightly below that. But we didn't win a whole lot of games based on our quarterback play. And to, th- and that's the reason that I think we won't take a. We may take a shuffle backwards next year, and I think we're all okay with that. But I mean, hell, Merklinger or the kid we just picked up, Aguilar, I believe his name is.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they could come in and set the world on fire. You never know. And my second question, almost forgot to ask it. My
Yeah, I
second,
was wondering when the second one was coming.
sorry, my second question: if Nico would have transferred in December, the first day he had the chance, how many of our receivers leave? Do you think that had something to do with it? I mean, we're not in the locker room. I'm just asking your opinion.
It's hard to say. I don't know because that was a worry of a lot of people when he left. When he left last week, is Mike Matthews going with him? Um, he did. He hasn't as of yet. I mean, the transfer portal closes what? This is Thursday night. What, tomorrow? I think. So, I mean, that's still something to watch out for. Regardless, say I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it seems the vibes from the team after he left here this time was, hey, we're going to stick together. We're volunteers. We got our quarterbacks that are here's back. So I don't know. That's a tough question to answer. Like you said, we're not in the locker room. I don't know, but I think you could say I don't know if Matthews would leave, but he's definitely not leaving now. I don't believe. I hope these words don't come back to haunt me. But
I,
so
I do think at least a couple of those guys stay
yeah,
because if what we're hearing is true about the money and how he acted and how he was the shit and all that, I, I just have to imagine that a couple of those guys stay. I
yeah,
think Squirrel might have been gone regardless,
yeah.
which fine, good on him, I reckon. But I mean, I don't hate on Squirrel like a lot of everybody else did. Anyway,
I
different.
don't hate him. I just was like, man, you're not you're a solid receiver, but he was another one that like you just kept waiting for him to break out, and he just never, whether it was injury or the quarterback play, he just never could get going here.
Yeah.
So so hard. What do you think about is so fitting the quarterback we got out of the transfer portal this week, Joey Aguilar, and where does he come from? UCLA. Played the last two seasons at Appalachian State University over there in Boone to our east. And this offseason, he was a senior. He graduated for his fifth year. So he's got 1 year of eligibility left, but transferred to Pasadena, made it through spring ball. He's out of there as soon as Nico gets to town. So um, I'll read you his stats real quick. He was not a very highly rated quarterback in the transfer portal. Obviously, Josh Heupel and staff see something in him to bring him in. Honestly, the thing that worried me when Nico left was our not the quarterbacks that were left because, like you mentioned a minute ago, McIntyre is a 5-star guy from Tennessee. Merklinger was a 4-star quarterback from the state of Georgia. So everything tells us they're pretty talented guys, very unproven. They've not played much at all. So a lot to be determined with those guys. But that was it. We have no depth at the quarterback position, just those two guys. So they have to bring somebody in. Well, they bring in a fifth-year guy that's had some decent numbers. I mean, in 2023, he completed 63.7% of his passes for 3,757 yards, 33 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. App State that year went 9-5, played for the what conference are they in? Sun Belt Championship, and then played in a bowl game. Last year he regressed a little bit. They were not very good at all. I think they went 5-6. Appalachian State did. He threw for 3,003 yards. He threw for 23 touchdowns, which was 10 less than the year before. Threw four more picks at 14 than the year before. Completion percentage was down to 55.9%. He threw less passes than he did. They were not good. I think App State's defense was one of the worst in the country. I think they were one of the worst teams in the country, to be honest. But all that being said, I don't know what to make of this guy. I I haven't got to watch any film of him. I haven't really seen a whole lot, but just some clips here or there. The thing that stood out to me when I first saw his name come out and Tennessee might get him was the interceptions. He's thrown 24 interceptions compared to 56 touchdowns. That's a lot of interceptions. I think the book on him is he makes a lot of risky throws, takes a lot of chances. Um, I wonder in the back of my mind, Harbin, why did UCLA not think very much of him? And that's when Nico became available. And Nico's a West Coast guy. Or, oh, we got to go get this guy because we have no confidence in this kid. Um, they kind of cast him away, discarded him a little bit, and he came here. Maybe. Um,
I don't think you can put too much thought into that. UCLA's football program for years has not been great, and I think they just thought best available. I mean, let's be
True. I mean,
honest.
they could have, yeah.
Be honest, from a talent standpoint, Tennessee did not upgrade. But like you said, Hop will probably see something. And I'm not going to pretend like I know App State's depth chart year by year. Not pretending that. But in 2023, when they're good, there's a good chance that there's a lot of upperclassmen skill players and maybe O line. And this past year, you said their defense was horrendous. It sounds like he was trying to throw them back into games. So that might be why the interceptions are a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I mean, like that's just like an honest standpoint of looking at it. Also, he might have just been ready to get the hell up on out of Boone. I don't know where he's from. I'm assuming he's not local to Appalachian State.
No, he's from Antioch, California.
Yeah, so he wanted to get closer to home, get back to the sunshine for his fifth year. Just hang out, and then when Nico comes in, he obviously knows that he's probably not going to play. But obviously, the Tennessee spot opened up. At the bare minimum, he gets a chance to learn under some of the best quarterback coaching in the country if he has any aspirations to play football after college. I feel like it's a win-win for Aguilar and the university because he obviously has arm talent. And if he didn't, we wouldn't have brought him in. And his good numbers back that up. His bad numbers, that's another thing you got to look at. But scheme fit and talent around you and coaching, that can do wonders. So I'm keeping an open mind on it, and I have
Yeah.
zero idea who the starters are going to be.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, I don't think uh, Josh Walker asked me, he said, is he the automatic starter? I absolutely don't think that's true at all. I think this is an open competition between him and Merklinger and McIntyre. I think Merklinger probably has the upper hand because he's been here for a year. But there's a reason. I mean, I always say like Heupel has. It's like what are all these guys going to do? Well, I'm glad he brought all these guys in between 4-star Merklinger, 5-star McIntyre, 5-star Brandon coming in next year. We're still talent wise, it's unproven, got a lot of talent, star power at the quarterback position in Knoxville. But it's how they develop over these next 100 and whatever days until football season comes. I mean, Aguilar, I don't think can get here until whenever UCLA's semester ends, and they're on the quarter system, I think is what I read. So I don't know when that ends, but I was looking at his stats, Harbin, trying to find who they played last year, and the only comparison to an SEC program is Clemson on this schedule. Against Clemson, they lost 66-20 at Death Valley. Let's see, Aguilar was 18 of 41 for 214 yards, one touchdown, no interceptions. He didn't really rush the ball any at all. It looks like his best game of the year came the week after that, though, against East Carolina in a 21-19 win. He was 32 of 47, 424 yards, two touchdowns, two interceptions. On the season last year, he accounted for 25 total touchdowns, only two on the ground, and that came in their first game of the season against East Tennessee State University, and he had zero rushing touchdowns the rest of the season. So I don't know. Again, I don't know a lot about Joey Aguilar. I just know he adds some depth to a position that honestly does not have a lot right now at it. And you could say that about this team in general. You can tell it's the off season. Baseball's not playing right now until this weekend. There must a lot of people with idle time and bored minds. They're worried to death about the transfer portal. Harbin, Tennessee's lost. They have 20 players in the portal. They've only got four commitments to come in. But if you look at every program, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I quickly glanced at it before we got on here. I think Georgia has 18 in the portal, nine commitments. So they've only filled half of those spots that left. Tennessee's obviously, 16 in the hole at this point. My Carter math tells me, and they got some work to do in the portal. But people are what's Heupel doing? What are they doing? Like, it's April. It's almost May. I'm not worried about it. He's got several targets that they're looking at, but I am glad they got this kid. They had to get somebody, but he seems like I don't want to say proven because he's not been at the Power Four level, but he's a guy that could come in and, say Merklinger beats him out and wins the job and gets injured. Instead of throwing McIntyre into the fire, who's a true freshman, put Joey Aguilar in there and see what happens. Maybe he wins you a game or two. Maybe he just manages the offense and we still got a really good running game. I don't know. Just a lot of question marks now because everything revolves around the quarterback position. They touch the football every offensive snap for the most part. And it's going to lead to a lot of question marks going into the season. I think we looked at it not long ago, just glancing at the schedule without diving too deep. I thought Tennessee was probably a 9 or a 10 win team again next year. I don't know if that's true right now, but we'll see. Maybe they win 8 or 9 games with these guys. If they do, I think that's with all that's gone on and the roster construction as it currently stands, probably a pretty good season. And we'll get into that as the summer goes along. But um, I just hate this. I hate what college sports has turned into. I cannot believe we're sitting here talking about this. I just, I don't know, Harbin. It sucks. I miss the old college sports.
It's what we fought for.
I
We
guess.
we as a people,
I guess.
what we fought for because free education was just not good enough for these athletes.
Free room and board was just not good enough.
And getting paid under the table wasn't good enough. Hell, they had
Well,
to have it on paper that way they could post their G wagons on Instagram.
yep. Well,
So,
we'll keep everybody posted on the. We're not going to talk about Nico Iamaleava on here. I don't have to say his name anymore. His last name, Harbin. We did all that work to learn how to pronounce his last name, and now he's gone. So whatever. Um, I don't know who. I think it was Greg McElroy made a good comment that he could have been a king here, and now he's going to a place where they just don't give a crap. I mean, look
yeah,
at the pictures of the Rose Bowl when UCLA plays. It's like they've got tarps all over. It's like I went to Bristol a couple weeks ago on that Sunday night. That was another reason we didn't record on Master Sunday. I went to the Food City 500. They got freaking tarps all over the Bristol Motor Speedway. There's like 30,000 people there. The track holds 167. It's sad. It's depressing. But that's what the Rose Bowl looks like. They got freaking advertisement tarps all over the stadium. the Rose Bowl, where the granddaddy of them all played, one of the most historic stadiums in America, in the world. And they put freaking advertisements on the stands because nobody goes to the game. So he's left a place where he could have been a god, a king, to go there. So good luck to you, Nico. And as we said, as I tweeted the day he left, Nico, I hardly knew her. Too bad. All right, Harb, moving on. We've been going at this for a while. So let's get to the other things I wanted to talk about quickly. Tennessee basketball. Last episode or show we recorded a couple weeks ago, we had kind of recapped the season and what Tennessee was looking at. And I can't remember if we talked about this or not, or if this had happened at that point. I think it had that we had brought in Jacoby Gillespie. Was that true, Harbin? I don't
Yes.
remember. I think it was. So yeah, we talked about Gillespie that came in from Maryland. Great pickup for the Volunteers. Well, we've added another one, Harb, and this one's pretty big. All right, well, it's not just pretty big. It's big. The highest rated recruit ever to come into the Tennessee basketball program. Still trying to figure out how you say his last name. It's either Nate Ament or Nate Ament. I don't know how you say it. We'll figure that out later. 5-star plus, small forward, 6'9", 185, out of Manassas, Virginia. Number 4 player overall nationally, number 2 overall nationally at his position, number 1 in the state of Virginia. Turned away offers from Duke, Louisville, Arkansas, Notre Dame, to name a few. I don't know. I keep track of Tennessee basketball quite a bit, Harb. It's y'all know my passion for Tennessee basketball on here. Um, there was a name that we kept seeing all winter, but Tennessee's name was very quiet in this the whole time. But once the season ended, after that loss to Houston, Rick Barnes and staff went all in on trying to get this kid. Reading about it, listening to Rick Barnes, I've never heard him. He was gushing over this kid. I've never heard him talk about a freshman coming in like he's talking about this kid, which tells you a lot about him. I think I was reading his profile. They said, his body needs to fill out a little bit, but the kid can shoot from outside. He can do pretty much everything on the court. One went as far to say they didn't want to call him Cooper Flag, but they said he has the potential to impact Tennessee like a Cooper Flag did at Duke. Um, this was a huge pickup for Tennessee, and they're not done. They missed out on Rodney Rice. They tried to go after the transfer from Oklahoma. Can't remember his name. They missed out on him. But a new development has happened over the last couple days. It actually came out yesterday. Darius Adams was committed to UConn and has now decommitted. He's the number 26 overall prospect in the 2025 class. Also considering amongst UNC and Alabama, he's also considering Tennessee. I think they have a Zoom meeting set up with him either today on Thursday or tomorrow. But yeah, Tennessee missed out on Rodney Rice, and they moved their attention to this other kid. I think they probably try to go all in and get this kid. I haven't got to read much about him because it just came out yesterday, but the SEC is going to be at it again next year in basketball, Harbin, and Rick Barnes is doing all he can to rebuild a roster that lost a lot. I don't know what is going to come of this ruling about eligibility, but Jordan Gainey posted an Instagram video today and it said 5th year loading question mark or something to that effect. And it's him and his, I don't know if that's his girlfriend or what, shooting a free throw. While we've been recording here, I got 2 texts. Is Jordan Gainey coming back? I don't know. I mean, I don't think he can as of right now, but if they get him back along with what they brought in and plus maybe bringing in this kid from UConn. I don't know if I mentioned his name or not. I think I did. Darius Adams. If they're able to bring him in with bringing in the carry kid from Vandy, loaded front court down low, this team could be as good as they were last year. I don't know if they'll be as good as they were this past season. It's going to be hard to replace Ziegler and Lanier, especially Ziegler. But I think Barnes has done a good job trying to reload this roster. What do you think about it, Harden?
I think he's recruiting like hell for somebody that was supposedly going to retire.
The grass is growing and he's recruiting.
The way which I've made opinions on both sides of this, the way he's recruiting, he's got at least 3 years left. I stand pretty firm on that. Um, which right after the season ended, we're like, all right, we've pretty much got our front court set. Just about everybody's coming back, but back court's gonna need a lot of help. And I think we've addressed some needs and then some. The funniest thing about all this is Nate Ament, that's how I'm going to say it. Um, he was kind of a bonus. I don't think anybody, or at least within the Tennessee collective, or at least people with the knowledge that we have, none of us expected to actually come here. Like, well, we just automatically assumed that.
It was all Duke from what I read.
Yeah, we just automatically assumed he'd go to Duke or maybe Louisville or wherever. Like, we've never got a guy of that caliber. He is the highest rated prospect to ever commit to the University of Tennessee. And I can tell you why Barnes was salivating. It's because the kid has Kevin Durant potential.
Yeah.
Obviously, Coach Kevin Durant, they have the same exact build, or roughly. They're long, they're lanky, they can play 3 and 4. Like he can do pretty much anything. And um, how good of a recruiting pitch is this for a kid that's 6'9", 180? It's like, hey, do you know who Kevin Durant is?
Yeah.
No, anytime I want, I can get him on FaceTime with you, and you can chop shop about how to score at all 3 levels, or he may even stop by practice one day because I love that kid and he loves me. That's got if he is actually worried about getting better, which obviously I'm sure he is. Got to be a pretty easy pitch. Plus, we got $2.2 million as a university just freed up a couple of weeks ago. I'm sure that helped just a little bit. I don't know how we divvy it up between sports, but I'm sure at least a fraction of that went towards this young man. Um, but yeah, he's going to be an immediate impact guy. I'm assuming he's going to start. I mean, you never know, but it was huge. It was an absolutely huge pickup. That was on Easter. It was 4:20, so I was riding high. Well, I got the news.
We were literally watching WrestleMania when it happened.
Yeah, yeah. I saw it right as we pulled in the Sluggles.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
No, it's huge, and I think we're gonna have a very good mix of young talent and veteran guys. And the front court is all veteran guys that played here the last few years. Our starting point guard's a veteran. It's obviously played at Maryland, but I think the gel between young guys that are just coming in, uh, older transfers, and veteran guys that have been here, I think it's a pretty dang good nucleus as a whole. And I think we have a lot to be excited for. Just on paper, I think this team has potential to be better than last year, which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, we've said this multiple times. This program is just in a spot where we're here year in and year out. And I hate I hate to burst the hater and losers bubbles that thought Rick had lost his fastball, or maybe we weren't gonna make the tournament next year just because everybody had left. Look at my boy.
That's what I said. Let him
Look at
cook.
my boy.
Let him cook.
I mean, you really thought Deacon Barnes was gonna miss out on a big name prospect on Easter? I didn't.
No,
I didn't.
no, absolutely not.
I'm extremely excited. It was. I mean, like we said, there's literally been no prospect of this caliber to ever come to the University of Tennessee. So hopefully it's not Scotty Hobson. Hopefully it's Tobias Harrison beyond. But we'll see. Time will tell. Potential is on our side on this one.
Yeah, and normally once basketball ends, we don't really talk a whole lot about basketball through the off season. I know we have started here on this show the last couple years to talk more about basketball, but I have a feeling this year and this off season going into football, we're going to be talking more basketball than we probably ever have, just looking ahead. And I'm trying to work on getting some like the Hoop Southbound guys on here to kind of wrap up the season, talk about recruiting, where Tennessee stands in the whole grand scheme of things, and Jordan Moore as well. Tried to get him on a couple weeks ago, but he was sick, and then our schedules have been all over the place. But we'll talk more basketball as we move on. Quickly, Harb, Tennessee baseball is that's what we should be talking about this time of year, but we got all this other stuff going on. We haven't gotten to them. They lost a series again last weekend, Harb, to the it's hurt Kentucky Wildcats. I went Friday night when they won 8-2, just pounded the Kitty Cats, but then they turned the tables on us. 4-1 loss on Saturday and a 8-2 loss on Sunday. Vols couldn't hit the ball, they couldn't field it. I didn't think they pitched the ball all that poorly, but it's hard to win when you score 3 runs in 18 innings and you give up 12 and you're kicking the ball around the infield. But they bounced back on Tuesday night, beat Lipscomb. Um, we haven't recorded since then, but the weekend before this, they took 2 out of 3 against number 6 Ole Miss and Oxford. Not an easy place to play. So, speaking of not an easy place to play, they're on the road this weekend at another top 10 team, the LSU Bayou Bengals, the Tigers. Friday night, 7:30 first pitch. Saturday night, 8 o'clock first pitch. Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock first pitch. So, right back into the frying pan. There's no off weekends in the SEC, Harbin.
No,
Just tell.
absolutely not. And we know that.
We know.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows this. Uh, I'm not necessarily concerned. Or I guess I'm not worried. Slight bit concerned because we've dropped 2 series now at home to, I don't want to call them bottom tier, but below the Mendoza line of the SEC. With that being Missouri and Kentucky. Uh, it's baseball. Shit happens. Uh, Maybe slight lack of focus. Not 100% sure. We don't really have. Bullpen's not been great from what I know. I haven't really been able to watch a ton of the games, so I'm gonna leave the opinions to you for the most part. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. Um, but I think with this team, I feel like we rise to the occasion on the road, and when we play somebody highly ranked, like we took 2 out of 3 at Ole Miss. We swept Florida, which they were highly ranked when we played them. I don't know if they've ever recovered this season or not. And LSU this weekend, same thing. And I know we're going to have the red ass after losing 2 out of 3 to Kentucky. We did we run roll Lipscomb? I know we
Yes.
won.
11-1, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So you took care of business midweek. it's a business trip to Baton Rouge. Um, I expect us to get 2 out of 3. If we don't, it's not the end of the world. I still think we're good enough to kind of. I don't want to sound cocky, but still think we're good enough to kind of turn it on when it matters. I know they're not trying, but when the nuts are on the table and the lights are the brightest, I feel like that's when this nucleus kind of gels and just kind of the program that we are.
Yeah. Well,
I hate losing to Kentucky. Anything when you drop 2 out of 3 at home to a team that you should absolutely get 2 out of 3 on, you maybe should sweep them. It is frustrating, but it's not like a sound the alarms
no, no,
moment.
no, no. And
Still,
yeah, there was some people that were sounding the alarms, but you cannot do that in baseball. It's late April. Yeah, these guys have been playing since February, so this is over 2 months. Of course, they don't play a season like the majors or the minors where they play pretty much every day, but you're playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, off Monday, playing Tuesday, off Wednesday, Thursday, boom, back at it again. So you got tired arms, injuries, nagging injuries. So they didn't have a good weekend. Last year we got swept in the first series of the season against Missouri and we ended up all right. So, you know what? Losing 2 out of 3 is not ideal in the SEC, but don't get your panties in a wad. If they go to LSU this weekend and lose 2 out of 3, okay, they're top 10. You're probably not going to fall very far. But you come home in 2 weeks, you got Auburn at home for 3 game series. They're really good or have been playing good. You've got Vandy at home after that the next weekend for 3. And then you go on the road to Arkansas, and that's going to be a hot environment because those folks definitely don't like Tennessee baseball out there. But anyways, a lot still to play for here. I haven't looked at the standings. I know Tennessee's 12-6 in conference play, 34-7 overall. So I was told the other day Tennessee's racking up the losses. That's okay. They've won 34 out of 41 games.
well, and the funny thing is, people are like, "What's wrong with Tennessee? They're tied for third in the SEC."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. What's
let's
wrong with them?
pump the brakes.
Just overreact. You win a national title, it's what happens. I mean, I guess it's like I think a lot of people, Tennessee fans especially, because it's a football school, they have that football mentality where when you used to, it's not as much this way anymore, but back in the day, you lost a football game, you're probably out of the national title race. Like think about in the 90s. You lost to Florida, you're out of not only the national title race, but this SEC title race. And so you didn't want to lose any games. And when you lost one, it hurt. And you're looking around like the season's over. And I think that football mentality carries over to a lot of sports. Like you see it in basketball when we lost to Florida by 30. Oh gosh, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then they turn around and win the next game. And then everybody forgets about it. And you just got to, it's like you said a couple weeks ago, Harb. I posted this on the YouTube channel, a short clip. And, we talked about Tennessee fans got to stop worrying about everything. And it goes back to Nico here. Like, we got to stop worrying about everything. And you made the point of like people walking outside and it's sunny and 80 degrees with the umbrella out. Man, if it rains, I'm ready. That's just, you don't need to do that. If it
No,
rains, it rains. If I die, I die.
he dies, he dies.
If he dies, he dies. But do you have very quickly? Do you have a hater and a loser this week?
Uh, Off the top of my head, yeah, sure. Unfortunately, my hater and loser of the week is Bryson DeChambeau.
Mm. What'd Bryson do?
Well, he was in position for yet another major, which would have been his third. He's got a couple U.S. Opens under his belt. He got put in the final pairing of the Masters with Rory McIlroy All the storylines were there. Rory hadn't won a major in 11 years. He's been chasing the green. He's been chasing the green jacket in the career Grand Slam for 11 years. But also, he is the poster boy for the PGA Tour. So it made all the sense in the world that the final pairing came down to not only the guy that stole the U.S. Open from him last year, but also probably the biggest star on the Live Tour, which is Bryson DeChambeau. Um, and also, there's so many storylines there. Like their career trajectories have done this. If you're listening to the podcast, I'm kind of doing
That's not a DX symbol.
no, it's where lines cross on a XY axis. Somebody correct me, please. I can't think of the words right now. But when Rory first came up, he was probably the most likable guy on tour. He was young, he was fun, and he was dominating. When Bryson first kind of came on the scene, he was a dork. He was a nerd.
Goober is what one person told me. They say he was a
Goober.
goober. Now he's a YouTuber.
People hated him because he went through his scientist phase. He wore the Payne Stewart hat. He decided to beef up 80 pounds so he could hit it further than everybody. Rubbed some people the wrong way. Thought he was smarter than everybody. But all of this has flipped over the last couple years. A lot of people have switched up on Rory because he's a front runner. You know, when things are going good, he's phenomenal. When things are going bad, he's real pouty, put it in PG terms. And Bryson has completely flipped the script on his likability. He's gotten into YouTube golf. He's personable. He's the people's champ. We had all the storylines on Masters Sunday. Like it couldn't get any better. It was two of the most popular guys in golf. Uh, but Bryson had all the chances. He decided to shoot 75 and putt like Ronnie Millsap. So, and I am a known Rory hater. So I honestly didn't even want to bring this up.
I think I was with the biggest Rory hater when the Masters ended on Sunday, but go ahead, continue.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a known Rory hater. I wanted nothing more for him to shoot 80 again in the final round of the Masters. But I gotta give the guy credit where credit's due. He tried to blow that tournament five or six times. Makes a double on one, makes a super ugly par on two, and in the process, Bryson goes par birdie. So the lead is evaporated. Bryson DeChambeau is taking the lead after two holes, and everyone starts talking about, yep, this is just destiny. You know, Rory choking on Sunday at the Masters. And he proceeds to hit one of the greatest golf shots I've ever seen at the Masters. That big towering 9-iron over the trees on 7. Makes birdie. I want to say birdies. Well, I want to say he birdied 7, 8, and 9. Could be wrong. I know he birdied 9. Or he birdied 10 for sure. He made a bomb on 10. And then 11 happens. Bryson hits it in the water on 11. And Rory's got a 3-shot lead at this point. Well, Rory makes a bogey, like whatever. Bryson makes double. Bryson is kind of ipso facto out of the golf tournament at this point. It's going to take a lot to help him. Rory plays it safe on 12. Then 13 happens. And then this is when the tournament started, really. He elects to hit 3-wood off the tee after he's hit driver the first 3 days. Then he has a 7-iron down there in the perfect layup position. But you haven't laid up all week. I don't understand why you do that. I mean, I definitely understand why, but play the same way that got you there. You can't air it out and then sit on the ball. Well, he hits like with the circumstances and how good he is, everything wrapped together. It might be the worst wedge shot I've ever hit. I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he hit that ball 25 yards right of his target, directly into Ray's Creek. And he makes double. That's like, it's like, how do you make a seven from right there? And then all of a sudden, that enters in Ludwig Oberg, Justin Rose, Patrick Reed. I mean, it brings in the top half of the leader. Scotty Scheffler, even. He was only two or three back when that happened. It brings in so much more of the field. And then on 15, Rory hit probably top three shots in Masters history. Like, I was actively rooting against him, and I didn't even get mad at it because he hit 195-yard 7-iron with a 45-yard hook to 6 feet.
It's
I,
crazy.
I swear to God, it's one of the best golf shots I've ever seen in my life.
It's crazy.
Like, seeing where he was aimed, it was absurd. So I was like, all right, tip of the cap. He tried to give it away on 18, too. All he had to do is hit the green and two putt. Dumps it in the bunker from 110 yards, which nobody ever has into 18. Shout out Justin Rose, played his ass off. But then they go right back to 18, and Rory plays that hole better than anybody could ever play. Hits in the same exact spot, and then he hits it to 4 feet, and he makes a putt. But moral of the story, Bryson, a lot of people rooting for you. You can't shoot 75. You just can't. And some of those putt, like I'm joking for the most part, but a lot of those putts, I'm like, how, like where was the read on that? I mean, he had an 8 footer on 11 or on 11 that he started that putt like 5 inches outside the left, and it broke like 5 inches left. Like, it just, some of this shit just made no sense to me. But it was cool to see a career grand slam. That's the nice thing I'll say about Rory. And every time he tried to give it up, he came back with god tier golf shots. So congrats, I guess. But it was probably the second most exciting Masters Sunday that I've seen in my lifetime.
It was good.
Yeah.
I went back and watched it because like I said, I was at the Food City 500. Excuse me, on Sunday, but we did see the end of it. We went to the Aubreys there in Kingsport to eat, and I was with. I at the time I didn't know this, but I was with one of the biggest Rory haters there is, and I think I know two of them. Two of the biggest Rory haters on this planet are Chad Grubb and now Jake Minot. Like Jake was actively when he missed that putt on 18 to win it in regulation. Jake yelled in the restaurant, and everybody was like looking around, like, "What the heck?" And then when he won it on the playoff hole on 18, you could like Jake made this gasp, and he was like, "Jake's a big Kyle Larson fan, and Kyle Larson dominated the Food City 500." And he was like, "Niece, I would have give up that Kyle Larson win for Rory to lose." I won't get into what Chad Grubb said, but
Well, we share the same opinions of that, which different time or different topic for a different time. But
yeah, I don't hate Rory. I don't love him, but whatever. But very quickly, my hater and loser is LeBron James. Harbin, did you see this yesterday?
oh, when he got caught,
When he got caught, he got just a vicious elbow, and he's laying there on the ground, and the camera zooms in on him, and he's got his hand over his face, and I catch his eye looking over to see if anybody's looking or what they're doing. He just gets up. Like, I'm so sick of that guy. I'm just so sick of him. The fakeness, the flopping. It, does he have mental problems? Seriously, is there like something wrong with him mentally?
uh,
He's a great basketball player, but I cannot get over all the reading the first page of a book, the flopping constantly, the crying to the officials not playing defense, the fake racism things that he's done over the years, where they had somebody paint racial slurs on his gate, and magically none of the cameras on his estate caught it. It's just the guy is a fraud to me. Not even talking about his play on the basketball court. He's a great player, top five all time probably. Won multiple titles. He's also lost a bunch of titles too, and passes the ball in key situations. I can't stand the guy, and I can't wait till he retires because he's a hater and he's a loser, and that's all I got to say about that.
Is the flopping LeBron's issue or is it an officiating issue?
Well, I think he along with several others, and they've tried to, like, if you go down to the collegiate high school level, they've kind of gotten that out of, because it was happening there a little bit because of what these kids were seeing on TV, and they've implemented rules to get that out of the way. I'm not familiar with enough with the NBA. Rarely watch it. Do they have rules against flopping in the NBA?
Well, I want to
I'm
say
guessing they don't.
I want to say 2 years ago, or maybe it was the beginning of this season. It was one of the two. The NBA made a stance and they're like, "Hey, we're going to crack down on the flopping. There's going to be like they implemented fines, like they implemented technical fouls, and for about 2 weeks, it was like, wow, they're serious about this, and then they just absolutely stopped doing it. So I think it's more of a league issue. I mean, you love to white knuckle two hand the 80s and 90s NBA, which was which was
Love it.
which was a great era. Don't get me wrong.
Need it. I want it.
But if the officiating back then rewarded that type of behavior, there would be a lot of guys that did it back then. It's just it's evolution of sports. Like it just is what it is. I mean, I can't I'm not going to name specific examples, but there were loopholes in the officiating back then that a lot of the top guys found and they did to their advantage. And I understand what you're saying. Like it's flopping is shitty to watch. Like it's not good to watch whatsoever. But I think it's more so a league issue than a player issue. Now I'm not a huge LeBron guy either, but and he's the face of the NBA, so if it's a league issue, everybody's always going to point at him. It's kind of like the Rory McIlroy thing, so I guess I kind of sound like a hypocrite here, but it's just it just is what it is.
What?
What? But I mean, it is annoying to watch, but I think it's more of a league issue. I think if they actually crack down and change some of the rules, that you would never see this shit again. I
What?
just know you love to hate on LeBron, so and
Yeah, I'm not a fan, man. Just play basketball. Just play basketball. Shut up and dribble, LeBron. Uh, I did see a highlight on here. The Grizzlies court tonight. Fantastic.
yeah,
It's the Vancouver Grizzlies old court. Love that.
and their
Uh,
their jerseys say Vancouver.
yeah, it's the Vancouver everything.
Yeah,
I don't know why Memphis just doesn't have that same logo and just put Memphis on it, but
you know what's wild is this is their first home game this playoffs, and their court says Vancouver.
yeah. Well, would you want it to say Memphis or Vancouver? I would rather go with Vancouver. Have you seen Memphis?
Well, if I was from Memphis, I would be upset about that.
Well, I'm sure they are,
Yeah,
but they'll get over it. I'm sure Penny's crying. Shout out to another listener before we go here. Bretsky, Mua America. He asked the question, is Jordan Gainey coming back for a fifth year? We talked a little bit about that earlier, and I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Hope so. They need some more depth in the backcourt, especially if they don't get this Darius Adams kid that decommitted from UConn. So appreciate the love, Bretsky, and keep listening. We do appreciate it. So, Harb, I'm exhausted all the topics that we were going to talk about tonight. We're done. Unless you have something else you want to go on about, but I may not allow it because Recording time here, we're probably getting close to 2 hours. I don't know
Uh,
what the timer officially says, but we're getting close. We're creeping toward it.
but I don't have a whole lot, but to what Bretsky said, um, if Jordan Gainey comes back, I'm all in on this thing.
Yeah.
Like, kind of like obnoxiously all in on this team
Do you think this team, without Gainey, as it's structured right now, are they top five SEC?
with Gainey.
No, no, as it's structured right now, don't count Gainey. Are they
I
top
mean,
five SEC right now?
I don't have a huge idea of what other teams have done in the portal. I know Kentucky spent a bunch of money. I know Arkansas lost Boogie Fland. Probably
I mean,
just off.
I think some teams that have had good off seasons, Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee. I don't know about Florida, what they've lost or brought back in. Of course, defending national champs. We'll learn more about them as we go. Um,
But they're one of the front runners to get Peja Stojakovic's boy from UCLA. I don't
okay.
want him.
Yeah. Um,
He took a visit to Illinois, but Florida's on the list of like 4 or 5 schools for him. He's good.
yeah. I mean, it's going to be an interesting offseason for SEC basketball. Um, let's just face it, there's going to be no offseason this year for us because we're going to have something to talk about between baseball, basketball, and football. I hate to be like this. I do this every show. Shout out to the ladies out there, Harbin. Lady Vols, new number one team in the country. And what do? They lost to Clemson on Tuesday night. That's like the most Tennessee thing ever, isn't it? That's what we do here. We get ranked number one, we immediately lose. But I think all will be forgiven if they go and win another SEC series. They're hot right now. They
Stay
are.
hot.
They're playing really good softball right now. So keep an eye out for the Lady Vols softball team. Carlin Pickens on the rubber. Karen Weekly coaching them up, as always. It's another one of those programs that while Karen Weekly's here, I don't know what happens after she leaves, but while they're here, they're always going to be in contention for the SEC title. They're always going to be in the conversation to go to Oklahoma City and play in the World Series. It's just how it is. Same thing with Tennessee baseball, with Tennessee basketball. Rick Barnes is going to have Tennessee in the conversation for the SEC title to go to the second weekend in the big dance. We're hoping Kim Caldwell, she proved herself pretty well this year, but we're hoping she gets the Lady Vols to that level. She's recruited her rear end off this offseason, so they'll look to be much improved next year. Um, Football, got some work to do this offseason, but we'll see. So Harbin, that's all I've got. Unless you've got something else, we're going to close this thing out. Again, appreciate everybody listening. You all, the listeners, are not haters and losers. You're winners and lovers in our eyes. So thank you guys for listening. Again, remember to share the episode, like, subscribe, comment, whether it's on Spotify. Give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast if you don't care, if that's where you listen. Like I said on the YouTube channel, give us a thumbs up, not a thumbs down, thumbs up. A like and subscribe would be much appreciated. So, Harbin, appreciate you coming on as always. I'm Negative Niece. If you're watching, you can see my Cubs shirt. That's the first place, Chicago Cubs to you. If you're watching us, thank you for watching. If you're listening, thank you for listening. And we'll see you guys next time on the Section YY8 podcast.